The following is the last conversation I had with Russell Bentley. This interview took place on October 2nd, 2022. I hadn't posted shows for a long time since then, and Russell died April 8th, 2024. Russell Bentley was a friend. I never thought I could be friends with a communist, but that is what happened. I first heard of him in 2015 when he had posted extensively about the war and the NATO American operations in Ukraine. I had never heard of an American communist that voluntarily went to active combat. That intrigued me, and I had to talk to this man. When I first interviewed Russell, he had already fought against the Ukrops, as he calls them. That's the Azov Battalion and other neo-Nazis in the Ukrainian army, who were killing Russian-Ukrainian people of Donbass, Donetsk, and Lugansk. There were many neo-Nazis in Ukraine, and they were open in flaunting their Banderist ideology. This was well known throughout Europe, as the internet was not as censored there as it is in the United States. His focus then became more of a mission to help casualties of those battles, namely through the Orthodox Christian Church, to get supplies donated to many civilians that were dismembered by the slaughter. He fell in love and married, and he was a hero to the village he settled in. He became a correspondent for Sputnik. He later died at the hands of Russian soldiers who had thought he was an American spy. Members of the 5th Separate Motor Rifle Brigade had been charged and punished for their actions against Bentley. The general in charge of that unit has since been killed on the front line near Donetsk. Russell Bentley lived as he spoke. To be happy, you must overcome whatever makes you fear. If you fear, you cannot achieve happiness. Please enjoy the following exchange, as it was my last one with Russell Bentley. Thank you.
And okay, so I'm just going ahead and do the recording here on Skype since it's the only thing working right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just excited as all get out. I was just reading the speech from Putin from his speech this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that or read up on it?
Actually, the last. No, I didn't watch the speech. I didn't read the speech. It's like I was telling my friend Regis Tremblay, who's also on YouTube. He's on Rumble and like that. He's American who lives in Crimea now. The people here really got no time for speeches or wonderful words and all that anymore. The only thing that counts, it's like this. The first rule of politics, and it applies to Russian politicians as well as every other politician everywhere in the world, is that what they say means nothing.
True.
And what they do says everything.
Absolutely.
And right now, I voted in the referendum, and I watched I didn't even watch, but I saw some clips of, a few seconds of what was going on in Moscow on the same day when, 10 or 15,000 Ukrops were attacking, somewhere between 1 or 2,000 and 500 of my friends in the city of Le Mans, and the Ukrops were winning, and this is on top of the total disgrace of the prisoner swap, where they traded 4 Nazi mass murdering war criminals for every one of our guys they got back in return, on top of the disgrace of the retreat from Bucha near Kiev, on top of the disgrace of the retreat from Izium. And in these places, these are, at least in Donbass, the DPR and the LPR army have held the line for 8 years. And we never retreated 1 meter from any of our positions. And then the Russian army comes in here with all their big shot generals and their Porsches and Mercedes telling us how to do things. And they've lost, thousands of square kilometers. They take it and then they give it back. And they tell these people, just like Putin said in his speech to the people of the DPR, we will never desert you. Except that's the same thing that they said to the people that they deserted, left to their doom to be tortured and murdered in Izium and in, Kharkov and up by Bucha and up by Kiev. And so, no, I mean, and let me tell you something. There's a lot of people that are like saying, oh, don't be a doomer, don't be so pessimistic, just wait for, there's thousands of troops that are coming and la-di-da, just give it a couple of more days. Trust the leaders. And it reminds me of those retards in this Q movement, who say, they post, oh yeah, Obama and Hillary Clinton are already in Guantanamo and Trump's going to be back in the White House tomorrow, and it's
trust the plan.
Trust the plan. Exactly. And that's stupider than believing in the Easter bunny. I mean, at least the tooth fairy leaves you a quarter, I mean, what's happening here right now is, of global impacts.
True.
Because this is my theory, and I don't have like the secret inside information. I have friends that have been on the front for 8 years, and certainly on the front since this operation began, who, I mean, the last thing they told me was that things are very much not going good. And this is my theory, and I'll explain what it is and then why I think it. And this is what I expect. Okay, the one way that Russia, if they can save themselves and us in this war, and by extension, the future of humanity,
great,
is if they conduct this war, starting tomorrow, although actually should have been starting 8 months ago or 8 years ago. If they start winning this war overwhelmingly with conventional forces.
Okay.
Because if they don't, okay, so I'm not saying that the Russians are losing right now. I'm not saying that the Russians are going to lose. But from everybody that is, a serious, reasonable, logical, objective observer, it looks like they're not winning at all right now.
Okay. So that's a good, I'm glad you're saying this, or at least speaking on that, because according to the mainstream media here in the West, but they have been saying the same thing all this time, is that Russia's not doing well, that they're losing this and that and the other, saying this negative, pessimistic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is that I don't find, if you're telling the truth, that's not pessimism, that's telling the truth.
Exactly.
And the thing is you guys have been at this for 8 years. Holy crap. You guys have been getting killed over there for 8 years. So when Russia
and we haven't retreated a single meter in all that time.
Right. So
and
go ahead.
Here's the danger, okay, so I mean, it's a pretty well established fact now that the Donbass Republic soldiers and most of the Russian soldiers have done excellent, heroic, brilliant hero work here.
Mm-hmm.
The problems have been with the upper echelon, with the commanders.
Okay.
And that was, the Russian commanders that have came here, since 5 years ago, have pretty much been held in contempt by the real soldiers here the whole time. And now what's happening is they're screwing up so bad that it's making Russia and the DPR look like they're losing. And here's the big danger, and listen very closely to what I'm about to say. There's a very deadly danger that the United States has already imported tactical nuclear devices into Ukraine. I mean, Okay,
Okay.
you ask yourself the question, could they do it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. They have brought in thousands of tons of military gear. The United States absolutely totally controls Ukraine. If a U.S. CIA or military guy tells the Russian custom or the Ukrainian customs or the Ukrainian military, don't look in that box, get the hell out of here, they jump and they go. So there's absolutely no oversight from anybody. There's been thousands of tons brought in. So of course the United States could, a tactical nuke is, it's a suitcase nuke. It's the size of a artillery shell, 2, 4, 5 kiloton yield. So of course, absolutely, there's no question that they could have done it. So the next question is, would they do it?
Right.
There's no question that they would do it. Because, these are the guys that have already been shelling the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant with heavy artillery. They're already been doing nuclear terrorism. These are the guys, that, that did 9/11. These are the guys that told the white helmets to do the chemical attacks in Syria to blame on the Syrians, So could they do it? Yes. Would they do it? Proven track record? Absolutely yes also. So any reasonable person, or let me put it this way, no reasonable person can doubt that they've already done it.
Right.
So they got these tactical nukes. What are they going to do? Use them against the Russians? No. They're going to bomb a ethnic Russian city like, say, Kharkov, for example, that's under Ukraine control, and then say the Russians did it. Because what is their main weapon? False flag.
Yep.
They haven't made a war since the Second World War that didn't start with a false flag. And so now, they blow up one of their nukes on Ukrainian territory and then say the Russians did it.
Right. Well,
And and just like, hold on. And just like with MH17, just like with 9/11, all the, the BBC and CNN and ABC and Fox and la-di-da, they've already got their scripts written before it happens.
That's true. Yeah.
And then, and it won't even be an hour after this U.S. bomb goes off on Ukrainian territory that the lie goes around the world before the truth can get its shoes on, that Russians have nuked Ukraine.
Right.
And then Stoltenberg from NATO and, droopy drawers Biden and whoever the hell else gets on and says, no, we must make a response in kind.
Right. And so we suspected over here, or at least those of us who have some critical thinking skills, we have already suspected that they plan to make a dirty bomb of the nuclear facility there and blame, of course, the Russians for bombing it, when actually HIMARS and all kinds of advanced weapons have been brought over to Ukraine and mercenaries to help them operate such equipment. This is a fact. This is all known facts.
That is all facts. That is all known, documented facts.
Absolutely. And they're bragging about it. And they keep on sending more billions of dollars worth of equipment. And I don't doubt for a minute that they would send a dirty bomb over there. I don't doubt for a minute that there isn't any suitcases over there. I don't doubt. Look, the United States has already proven that they will do all kinds of nasty things to other countries. Excuse me. Let
And
me
their
be
own
clear.
country.
The United States government. Excuse me. Say it again.
And their own country too. 3,000 people died on 9/11.
Yep.
They weren't killed by Osama bin Laden.
Well, all we have to do, if anybody has any doubt, any Obama fan or liberal, leaning liberal person out there can look and say, okay, first off, when they shut down this whole country because of a germ, they shut down workplaces, they shut down offices, athletic events. That if that didn't tell everybody right there that this whole thing is a farce, that the government has gotten out of control. And it's not just our government. There's other powers behind it. But here's the thing, and I'm not going to absolve any one person who participated or enforced. If you're the if you're the beat cop that told people to get their masks on, you're just as responsible as the president, as Fauci, as any other guilty party that we know of. Okay, because you complied, not only complied, but you enforced it. Same thing with what's going on throughout the world. The troops, if you knew better and you did it anyway, hey, everybody is equipped as a human mammal. Okay, you're equipped
Yeah,
with a sense of right and wrong, and you knew you did wrong, whether you did it here in the United States, if you did it over in Ukraine, if you did it in Donbass, if you did it in Russia, if you did it in Iraq. It doesn't matter. If you did the wrong thing against your own gut instinct, you know you did wrong. You are thereby guilty, and it's you who has to judge you, right?
that's right.
So, and this is, and what we have now is we have a whole world full of people, for whatever reasons, they are defying or they're disobeying their gut instinct. They're disobeying what their sense of right and wrong.
They're selling their souls.
Exactly, exactly. And so there's a new awakening, and there's a lot of us out here, Russell. Just so you know, it's not
I know
we're
that.
not a
I know
bunch of
that.
dunderheads over here. There's a lot of people.
Well, there's a lot of them that are, but I mean, I think that, probably 95 to 97% of Americans are, beyond redemption. But 3 or 5% is still 15 million people. And that's a lot
Uh,
of people, a lot of
that is
good
true.
people in
Mhm.
America.
Well, I think it's
You know,
more than that, to be honest with you. We're just not seeing it in the tech media, the media, major media outlets, and the technical, the big tech. They're not letting that word get out because I don't know very many people who are still got the wool over their eyes. I don't know. I
well,
mean, I don't know anybody.
but here, and this is important, very much important, look, Lucky, is
Mhm.
that, I mean, it's good if somebody isn't fooled, but if they understand the truth, they have a responsibility to do something about it. And a lot of people that, go around and they, and it's like, you know, a circle jerk or something. They all get together at some coffee shop and say, "Oh yeah, Biden's so stupid, ha ha ha," la di da. No, hitting like on a Facebook comment is not a revolutionary act. And this is a life or death situation right now. And
Right.
people, the time for talking is over. This is like
Absolutely.
1776, and the people that are there need to understand they need to take a lesson from the people of Donetsk, and people, and I get these comments all the time, oh, well, if I didn't have my good job or if I didn't have a couple of kids, I'd be there with you. People need to understand that this war is going global, and what they've done, what the masters, the owners of the US government have done to other countries for, well over half a century, they're now going to start doing to the American people too. They've already started,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's already been.
and
Yeah.
they need to understand that it's, they can die on their feet or on their knees, and if they get on their feet, they might have a chance to live. On
Or at
their
least
knees, there's no way, and so, they can pretend all they want. They can, you know, it's like, it seems like in America, the basis of social interaction these days is I'll pretend to believe your bullshit if you pretend to believe mine.
that's sick. Okay. That's terrible.
And
I
I mean,
don't
and it goes, or it's all the way. It's like, oh yeah, Joe Biden's a great president. Oh yeah, I'm a girl. And tomorrow I'm a boy. And it's like, you know, okay, you know,
Right, right,
and
right.
I'm a lamp post or something. I mean,
I identify
like,
as, yeah.
yes, exactly. I mean, and at some point,
Be glad
reality
that you're not
always
here for
comes
that.
back. It always kicks back in.
Yeah.
And
Well,
go ahead.
so to get back into what, well, you're born American, so of course you have every opportunity to have your opinion known what exactly is going on over here and how horrible it is. I
Not
do
every
want
opportunity. Not
say
every
again
opportunity. I've been censored off every major,
here,
off
here.
platform, off of Twitter, off Facebook, off PayPal, off YouTube. I'm a non-entity there anymore. I'm a non-person. And I had tens of thousands of
Mhm.
followers on all those groups, and now it's gone. And so I don't have the opportunity. I still have the right because I
You
was
know,
born in Texas.
right? Well,
But
my co-host just got deplatformed by YouTube. Brooks Agnew, X Squared Radio, who's been in the business for what 20 years now. He was deplatformed. He was totally his whole account is canceled on YouTube. He has no more YouTube. And he's glad of it. He's on everywhere else, but they have been messing with him for a long time. PayPal's gone, but see, the mainstream media doesn't hear about that. They don't talk about that in any of their own journalists when they get deplatformed because they said something that fucked the system. But I do have a question for you from a man named Don. You ready? It's
yeah, sure.
aren't the Ukrainians messing with the water to the Crimean Peninsula? And if they are, didn't Putin tell them to stop? If so, is this military action part of the repercussion?
Actually, as soon as Crimea in 2014 had a referendum, went back to Russia, the Ukrainians cut off the canal from the Dnieper Petrovsk River.
Mhm.
So for 8 years, there was a very serious water shortage in Crimea.
Right.
Once in the beginning of this year, in February, when the operation started, the first thing they did was come up from Crimea and open that river back up to Crimea. So right now, in the liberated part of Ukraine, should I say, the water is flowing to Crimea. But in Donbass, in the Donetsk People's Republic, we have a very serious problem with our water because the Ukrainians, first of all, our water filtration and pumping stations up near Severodonetsk, along the Severodonetsk River, have been bombed out of existence. They're under fire control right now by the Ukrainian army, so our guys can't fix them. So our main source of water that the Ukrainians left, because during the last 8 years, the city of Mariupol was under Ukrainian control. It was the main base of the Azov Nazis.
Right.
And the water from the pumping stations on the Severodonetsk, they supplied Donetsk, they supplied Gorlovka, Makievka, most of the Donetsk People's Republic area, but they also supplied Mariupol. And so if they cut off the water supply, they'd be cutting it off to one of their main outposts, their main cities. So they left it pretty much. I mean, they bombed it sometimes and cut it off for some days and then turned it back on. But since Mariupol has been liberated and is now under, DPR and Russian control, they have totally cut off the Severodonetsk water canal, the pumping stations and the filtration stations are bombed beyond, being able to work and need major repairs. They can't be done because it'd be undershelling to do the repairs, and then they just bomb them again the next day. We've been getting water from reservoirs over near Izium and Liman that are now under serious threat because of the recent retreats of the Russian army from those areas. And I mean, I'm telling you right now that since, for the last 3 or 4 months in Donetsk, a city of 1 million people, and the same goes for Makievka, the same goes for Gorlovka, that's another 1 million people there, and a lot of outlying small towns and villages too. And I'm talking about here in the center of Donetsk. We get water for about 6 or 8 hours every third day.
Oh, geez. That's just like
So,
Gaza.
well, it's tough, man. And you're right. I mean, and it is exactly the same thing. It's a war crime to cut off the water to civilians. I mean, but you understand that for 2 days, you know, you have to bring buckets of water, you know, to flush the toilet, to wash your face, you know, to wash your dishes, you know. I mean,
Yes.
and then I mean to wash your clothes, you know. So,
Yeah.
you know, on the third day, like 6 or 7 in the evening, the water comes on, and if you're lucky, it might stay on till midnight. I mean, it'll usually stay on till midnight, and if you're lucky, there might still even be a trickle coming out in the morning, you know. But by lunchtime the next day, it's, you know, there ain't nothing, and there ain't gonna be nothing for 2 more full days until the next third midnight, and that's a really tough situation, very
Yes, it
tough.
is.
And the serious problem is that now with this retreat from Liman, which was, you know, a terrible criminal failure by the Russian military command. But now the Ukrainians are well within striking distance of the 2 reservoirs that we've been getting the water from for the last 3 or 4 months since the Severodonetsk got shut off. If they take control of those reservoirs, it's going to be like no more water. No water for millions of people.
So, okay, so if I'm understanding rightly, so Russia has backed off of these places and left you guys to your own slaughter, basically, is basically what it sounds like. And it's
The,
not because of Putin, it's not because of the troops on the ground, it's the the generals or the
well,
power mongers of the military.
it's, I mean, so Donetsk is still, you know, relatively safe. I mean, you know, but this is indicative of the incompetence of which this war for the last 8 months under Russian control has been fought. You know,
Well, see,
the
okay.
the front lines of the Donbass of this war for the last 8 years have been on the very city limits of the main cities of Makiivka and Donetsk and Gorlovka. And after 8 months of so-called Russian liberating, the front lines on those cities are still the same. I'm talking about 10 miles from where I'm sitting right now is still the Ukrainian army, as it was for the last 8 years. You know, and so the Russians come in, oh, we're going to save everybody. Here comes the cavalry. And after 8 months, we're still getting shot. I was out in Petrovsky, where I live. It's on the where our house is. It's the very front lines. It's about less than 5 miles from Ukrainian positions. And I was listening to Ukrainian artillery flying over my house and exploding, you know, within 300 or 400 meters. You know, and these rounds, they have a lethal radius of 100 meters. You know, and I'm talking about right over my house. You know,
Yeah, I don't know how you can handle that. I mean, even in peacetime near a military base, when you hear artillery going over your head, that's still unnerving as crap. I can only imagine how bad it is for you guys over there.
when
That's
it's pointed at
astonishing.
you and they're really intending to kill you. You know,
Yeah.
and so I mean, you know, the people here, look, you know, the people of Donbass are the most patriotic Russians in all of Russia. There's a poster that was made in 1920, you know, right at the end of the Russian Civil War between the Red Guard and the White Guard. Like, did you know that? I mean, a lot of Americans don't know. You know, I mean, you can ask a lot of Americans. You say, did the Russians ever invade America? No. Did America ever invade the Soviet Union? No. Well, yes. The U.S. at the end of the First World War, the U.S. and France and Britain sent 50,000 soldiers to Russia to help the White Guard, the the Tsarist imperialist, Russian imperialist guard fight against the Bolsheviks, the Red, the communists. And we kicked their ass. And it was right here on this land, you know, but there was this poster that was made 100 years ago, 102 years ago, actually. There was a map of basically, you know, southeastern Russia, Ukraine, and it showed like a big beating heart and all the veins going out to the different cities, all the way up to Moscow and St. Petersburg and Kiev, you know, and Rostov and, you know, Stalingrad and all that. And the saying on the poster was Donbass, Serce Russia.
It's hearts of Russia.
Donbass is the heart of Russia. And this is 100 years ago. And it didn't say the heart of Ukraine. It didn't say the heart of the Soviet Union. It said the heart of Russia.
Yep.
And really, the people of Donbass are the most patriotic in all of Russia. We're the best soldiers. We have the most beautiful women too. You know, we have, you know, we are the heart of Russia. And, you know, today, you know, I mean, yesterday or whatever in this speech from Putin, he said, we will never, you know, desert the people of Donbass. We will never abandon you. But that's the same thing that they said up there in Bucha. You know, that's the same thing they said in Izium. That's the same thing they said in Liman.
And here they are backing off. They're withdrawn.
And they're backing off. And they're, I mean, and they're leaving.
A feint. They weren't fainting. Oh, okay, so they weren't using a tactical feint to draw in the Ukrops to. I'm asking the questions.
Bullshit, absolute bullshit.
Okay,
that's a cheesy, you know, and that's the kind of bullshit excuse that pisses us off even more. I mean, let me tell you something. In Petrovsky district, where my house is, maybe, I don't know, a week or two ago, a Ukrainian gunship helicopter flew 4 or 5 kilometers behind our lines and made an airstrike on 2 different hospitals.
And the Russians didn't answer it.
And then flew away and got away. You understand? And this is because the Russian commanders didn't let our frontline troops, which are DPR troops guarding the frontline border here. They said, no, you can't have, you know, man pads or stingers or strelas or whatever, you know, anti-aircraft, because you might shoot one of our Russian planes, you know? And so this, and here, and dude, and it gets worse. This helicopter, Ukrop helicopter comes in, you know, rocket attack on 2 hospitals, flies away and gets away.
Okay,
and then what? And then the fucking DPR press center and the Russians, they say, oh, it was artillery attack. You know, it was shelling. Except there was hundreds of people that saw the helicopter. You know, the guys went up after the attack and they said, look, this is from a rocket, from a, a rocket pad, you know, shot from the air, from an aircraft. This isn't artillery, because you can believe the people in Petrovsky district know what's the difference between
8 years of experience
and artillery, you know? I mean, even little kids, 3, 4, 5 years old know what it is now. And so, I mean, and the thing is, I mean, it's bad to fuck up, but then when you lie about it and everybody knows that you're lying and you still keep with the same lie, I mean, that's when, you know, you really have to say, who are these clowns? Why not why should we trust them, but how can we trust them?
Exactly. So here's my question. Now I have a question about that. All right, bear with me here because I'm not there and I don't see how things are going on the day to day. But my question is, okay, because Putin apparently wants to win this, right? I mean, are we sure that he wants to win this, or is he letting his generals get away with bullshit? Excuse me.
I mean, at this point, I mean, and I mean, how much further, you know? And it's like, you know, I'm starting to tell these facts out here, you know, and listen, I am a patriotic Russian citizen. I am a patriotic citizen of the DPR. I will give my life to defend both Donbass and Russia. I'm not going
Yeah,
anywhere. I will die here before I will retreat or surrender. But the truth is the truth. Ramzan Kadyrov, the head of the Chechen Republic of the Russian Federation,
mm-hmm.
after the retreat from Liman, which can only be described as a failure and a disgrace, he got pissed off. My good friend, Alexander Sladkov, the greatest war correspondent in modern Russian history, also has come out and spoken out about this, and starting to name the names of the guys whose screw ups have cost thousands of good people's lives, of heroes' lives at this point. And I mean, and the question is Putin letting the generals get away with bullshit?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would like to think not, but every day with every next, debacle, it becomes more difficult to seriously and honestly and reasonably say no.
That's a good
So
question. Well, here's where the question lies. Is okay. So the accountability. Okay, so bear with me here. I've been in the military before, um, not in this kind of theater, to be sure. But here's the thing: it's like every mission, you have missions, and even retreats, even drawing back. You've got to have a set of orders. You've got to have somebody sending out the orders to do this, this, and this, and this, and you have to do it in a certain way. I mean, Marines, we will have a plan to take a poop. Okay, we're like the UPS.
mhm.
I mean, it's like you got to have everything spelled out, right? So what I mean to say is that somebody somewhere said, okay, let's pull the troops back, and then we expect them to come in, or whatever the case may be. There's got to be something on the way down in that chain of command. There is a fault line. Okay, there is a compromised office, whether officer or office, it doesn't matter. There's somewhere there is a compromise. And the thing is from what we know of Putin, and don't get me wrong, everybody has flaws, but
Mhm.
from what we get of Putin, he would not be about this. What in the heck has happened that either he's dropped the ball on supervising his generals or his ministers, whatever the hell they're called over there, um, or we've got rogue agents in the Russian military, in the Russian hierarchy, that's causing this kind of problem. Because it's not y'all. Y'all have been defending your country for 8 years.
That's
Okay,
right. It ain't
so my
us. It ain't us.
so
And let me say, I mean, okay, at this point, I still trust and love and respect Vladimir Putin.
okay.
Okay, so you know, I still, I mean, when I say I trust, I still believe that he is an honorable man who's going to do the right thing and competent to do it.
He is competent. That's the thing. We know that he's got the wherewithal to execute this activity. However, somebody's dropping the ball somewhere here or there. Are they getting paid off? Is this a I mean, I know I'm just speculating here, but that's what you're supposed to do to find out what the truth is. You've got to figure
Exactly.
out what it is. What's the possibility? What's the probability? What is the truth?
And and
So
so I mean the point, the most important, I mean, but I'll say this about these Russian generals, and they've, I mean, they started getting here big, in 2000, by 2017, when I was in on the front in 2017. By that time, the Russian generals had, you know, come here, and they were basically telling, it's like every battalion had, their local Donbass battalion commander, and then the Russian battalion commander.
counterfeit. Yeah.
And, you know, everybody knows which one had the final word. And in 2017, I worked on the Avdiivka front for 4 months in the summer.
Hmm.
And by that time, it was under Russian, control, Russian orders. And when we would go to the frontline positions, we were told And I'm sure as a veteran yourself, you're going to really appreciate the beauty of this.
Okay.
They give us four 30-round magazines that were full. And they'd say, you cannot, even if the U-Crops start shooting at you, even if they start attacking you, your position, you cannot shoot back unless and until you get permission from your commander. And of course, meaning that your commander gets permission from the Russian commander.
Oh,
Understand?
hell no. Oh,
No,
hell
wait.
no.
That's no. And when we came back from the position, they counted the rounds. And they said, if there's one missing, you're going to jail.
Yep. Okay. This sounds familiar. You ready for this? Okay. I was in Operation Desert Storm, and I was in, I don't know if you knew that. When we were there, supposedly the war was over. Okay. And the war was over, and Bush had declared it over, Daddy Bush, that is.
Yeah.
And we had to sign when we first got in country, we had to sign for 40 rounds. Okay. We got only 40 rounds, and we had to turn them in if we were not in active combat, right? We had to give an accounting of all of our rounds once once we were going away, if we got back to the States and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So because Bush declared the war over, guess what?
I can
Everybody
guess.
turned in their rounds. Well, I had signed for 20 or for 40 rounds, so I turned them in. What they didn't know is that I had found two magazines full of rounds from some common area, and I looked around, nobody claimed it, nobody looked like they lost any, so I just grabbed them, put them in my pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Check this out. So when we turned in our rounds, I was walking around still confidently because, everybody else had that look like, oh shit, that oh shit look, and
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't. I was like, I got mine, it's like, you guys stupid enough to turn that in, I wouldn't have
Well,
either
I
way.
mean,
So get
and
this.
I'll tell you that, I mean,
When
here in Donetsk, I was fortunate enough to have a couple of trophies from combat, an AK-74 and a Makarov pistol,
74 or 47.
which 74.
Aha. Thank you.
And and I and then there came a time, there was a lot of guys that had, weapons from their time in the army. And so like in 2017, early 2017, they said, all right, everybody that has weapons gets to keep them, but they have to come register them.
Oh.
And so, and I mean, and it's like, and if we catch you with an unregistered weapon, it's 5 years in the joint, So I went and I registered my rifle and my pistol. And I mean, and as much as I understand the absolute, necessity not to register pistols or weapons in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
and absolutely agree with that, here it was a different deal. I, as a, foreign naturalized citizen, I mean, there was just a lot of reasons that I decided that registering my weapons was the right move.
No, you have
And
to do what you got to do. Yeah.
and so, I mean, and here they make you go through a psychological examination before they let you register
Oh.
weapons. And they also, you have to go down to the prosecutor's office, and they shoot 5 rounds into the water, and they get the ballistics. They keep the casings and they keep the bullets. So so they got the ballistics, both the firing pin off the casings and also from the rounds, the actual bullet itself. And so if your weapon is ever used in a crime, well, they know
Right.
whose weapon it was. And the other thing you have to do is you have to buy like a pretty solid safe, and it has to be like bolted to the ground and bolted to the wall in your house. And you have to keep your guns in that safe, and and those are actually fairly reasonable. I mean, and for the fact, I mean, and now, I mean, and I went to prison for weed in the United States, so it's 5 years minimum if I get caught with a bullet in my car, in the
Right.
States.
Right.
And here, I have a fully automatic
Yep.
AK-74 machine gun with a silencer, and that's no problem. And that's cool, I mean, and I have a Makarov pistol that I do not leave home without. If I go outside to smoke, if I go to take out the garbage, if I go, to the corner store, to buy a popsicle.
Hey, I carry on the property I live on. I carry. Okay. We've got copperheads. We've got rattlesnakes. We've got coyote. There's
Yeah,
been bear. Bear have come down from the mountains down into this valley. Okay. There's bear
cool.
in our communities now.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm carrying. Okay. I got a neighbor with 2 kids. Guess what? I'm carrying. Okay. For those
Yeah,
kind of dangers and others. Right. Right.
of course, of course,
So,
and I mean, and that's the thing, and I mean, it's like, it's like in Texas, it's like here in Donetsk. I mean, the city of Donetsk reminds me of Austin 50 years ago.
wow.
And really,
I
I
keep
mean,
forgetting you're that old. Sorry.
yeah, I'm
I keep
62
forgetting.
now, but you know, an armed society is a polite society.
Exactly. And everybody having arms makes for politer neighbors.
Yep,
It
yep.
does.
So I mean, so that's the good thing about it, I mean, but and I mean, but the other reason that I have these weapons is because there's still, and there has been this whole 8 years, a very serious possibility that, genuine, Nazis could make their way into the city, especially at our home, in Petrovsky, 5 miles, that's an hour's drive in a BMP or a tank, from where the U crops are. And if they bust through the lines, they know my address. They know my license plate number on my car. They're, and I'm at the top of that list,
Right.
So, and these weapons, they don't keep me from getting killed. They keep me from getting captured.
Right. Right. I get that.
Because, I mean, when I came here, I came here ready to die. That's the difference between a volunteer and a mercenary.
Uh-huh.
And you see all these, chicken shits that came over here at the beginning of the war from the West,
Yeah.
and they got and a week later they're heading back, they came over here to kill and be Rambo and shit. And then when it's like, oh, we can
This
die
is
too. No, thanks. I'm going back to be, work at the 7-Eleven,
I had somebody call me and tell me that they were called to go as a mercenary to Ukraine. This is back as soon as Putin had done that. As soon as he called on February 24th,
Mhm.
they
Yep.
got a phone call, and they were offering like $1,000 a day for just going to Ukraine or excuse me, going to support, and then it was $2,000 a day if they were in the fight. And he
Yep.
said,
That's
I'm
exactly
not
right.
doing
Those are the
anything.
prices.
He says, I'm not doing anything for less than 5 grand a day. He said, nothing, right? Because he knew, he's like, I'm not fucking around with Russian army, regular army. He said, no. He said, no, you're not going to have me leave my family here um, just so that these people, oh, Nastravia or Nastrovia for you.
Spasibo. It's
um,
almost 11 here, so
hell yeah, drink it up,
time
bud.
for
I got my coffee. It's still daylight here.
uh
Mm. No, but all seriousness, I want to bring it back to geopolitical stuff
yeah, let's go.
because, yeah. Okay, so I'm sure you are aware that the Nord Stream 1 and 2 was bombed and it's leaking all over the Baltic Sea. So,
It's already finished leaking. 300,000 tons of methane was released into the atmosphere. I'm
so
sure
much for the. I
Greta,
want.
what's her name, the environmental, be pretty upset about that.
How dare you? How dare you?
Yes.
And the thing is, it's like, oh God. So, and the thing that really gets me about it is that, okay, so the West did this. We know that the West did it. All
The
right.
United States did it.
Let's be specific. It was the United States. I am certain. And they did it basically. Now, wait, just think about this. It didn't hurt Russia. It really didn't hurt Russia. Russia's got tons of freaking petro. Okay. They've got tons of POLs. Okay. They don't,
Mhm.
they're not, this didn't hurt them. You know who it hurt? Germany,
It
Northern
destroyed
Europe,
Germany. It destroyed Europe. It
supposed friends of the United
cut
States.
it cut the throat of the European Union.
It sure as hell did.
Now, and it's again a perfect example. The U.S. was whining and lying for years about if Europe buys gas from Russia, then Russia will have the political control of Europe. The economic blackmail or whatever.
You
No,
mean
and
like the
so
United States, right?
and now the United States exactly has that, and they did it. It's an international war crime. It's an act of terrorism. It's an act of war.
Yep.
What the United States has done, and and really, you're right. It did not hurt Russia that much. I mean, of course it did. I mean, there was those pipelines were cost billions of dollars to build, and 300,000 tons of natural gas is a lot of gas, but it's like Doritos, blow up our
Long
pipeline and go up more. But let me say this.
Russell,
Let me say
only
this.
you,
And
man. Go ahead.
this is something that's really important to understand that, I think maybe just a few percent of Americans understand is how this energy crisis got created.
Uh-huh.
And so 2019, the year before all the Corona brouhaha,
Mm-hmm.
okay, Russia had long-term contracts with almost all the countries in the EU. I mean, in fact, I think it was all the countries. And those contracts were for Russia to provide natural gas at the price of $250 per 1,000 cubic meters. And, and this is like, for the next 5 years or 10 years, if the price goes up, if the price goes down, it's still going to be $250 for you guys. Well, in 2020, and these contracts were with like almost all the countries, or at least, maybe all of them, but at least almost all of them. In 2020, coronavirus hits, all that, everything gets locked down, shut down. All the industries quit working. And so the demand goes way down. And so the market price for natural gas goes down by 50%. It goes down to $150, $125 per 1,000 cubic meters.
Damn.
Okay, so, and still, I mean, and Russia has their contract. They're like, well, we made the contract. You paid $250. And, these contracts say, the European countries say, yes, we'll buy this much. And the Russians say, yes, we'll sell this much. And this is the price. So the European Union, led by the Poles, on the orders of the United States, of course, they go to this Strasbourg Court of Economic Settlements in Switzerland or wherever it is, Vienna, I don't know. But so, and they sue Gazprom, the Russian gas company.
Yep. We
and they
reported
say,
on this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, and they said, we demand that you sell us the price or the gas at market price.
Yep.
And so in 2020, I mean, and and the court sided with them. The court, told Russia that they had to do it, that they were legally obliged to do it. And even though it was totally bogus decision with no legal basis whatsoever, the contracts were ironclad. and the court allowed them and demanded that they be broken. And so Russia said, okay, if you demand it. And so they lost in
Fine.
2020, they lost some billions of dollars by getting paid half of what their contracts had been signed for. Then 21 comes around and the price goes back up, not to 250, but to 2,500. It goes up 10 times.
I thought it was funny. I was laughing my ass off when it happened. It's like,
Yes.
because it's just like the spoiled brat. The spoiled brat who gets, he makes an agreement and he thinks the rules are just great for him while it's working for him, but as soon as it works against him, he complains to the teacher or to the administrator, and
Yeah.
the administrators changes the rules just for him, and then boom. I could
No,
rope in another group of people
it's like
here.
a snitch,
Uh-huh.
I'm all gangster and stuff till I get popped, and then I'm gonna squeal on all my friends,
There you go.
exactly the
That's a
same.
good one too.
And so now, and that's what caused the energy crisis in Europe. They did it.
Uh-huh.
It was not the Russians by any means.
Right.
And the Russians have said, and since then, and so since then, the Russians are like, okay, you pay the market price. And then the Europeans, on the orders of the Americans, go ahead and say, okay, we're going to put all these sanctions and stuff. And the Europeans say, well, okay, if you want to be an asshole, don't come ask us for any favors. Keep paying the market price.
Well, not only
And
that,
even,
but
even the Russians even said, you don't have to do these sanctions. The sanctions are hurting you more than us. Stand up against your American masters. Don't go for the sanctions, and we'll cut you some slack on the gas price.
well,
You can survive the winter. Your industry doesn't have to get destroyed.
Right. Well, there's more to this too. It's as if the United States and the West had no idea. They act like they had no idea that Russia had a whole bunch of other customers who would gladly welcome that oil. There's tons of countries out there who would love that oil, and they're buying it now. And what I think is the ultimate troll move, this is my opinion, is this one. This is the most beautiful thing, is by basing the ruble on the gold. And not just that, there's more. They also, what they did is they priced the ruble or the gold at equivalent to 1500 US. Okay, well, we were pricing our gold per ounce at 1900. So basically, what they did is they manipulated it. So nobody wants American gold anymore. They're not going to buy American gold. Why? At 1900? Piss off. We're going to buy Russian ruble gold.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
it's 5,000 rubles per gram.
Okay, 5,000 rubles per gram,
which is, like you said, 1,500, or
per ounce. Yeah, it's 23. I forget what the
15,000. Well, I mean, whatever. It's the ruble is based now on 5,000 rubles per gram.
Yeah, we could
and
do the math, but I don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, so.
But I was like, oh my God, they just undercut our gold. So people who were investing in gold here in the United States, they're paying $1,900 per ounce, right? Or 1,800 per ounce. Instead, if they have Russian rubles, if they're buying the ruble, they can exchange that for gold at a rate of 1,500 or 1,400 US. Same the exchange rates. I'm like, holy crap! And if that's not enough, there's more. The BRICS. Okay, all these countries are asking to join BRICS now. Okay, that BRICS is the banking system, and they don't need SWIFT payments. In addition, there's something else out there called cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and people are sending money left and right all over the world with crypto. And that's the thing. It's like even Ukraine, they have gotten billions in crypto, and it's disappearing from to help the people.
Sure, of course, yeah.
It's
all these that have sent money to human aid or to support the troops or whatever in Ukraine, it's going to it's going to Zelensky. He's got like a $15 million mansion in Miami, which I hope got washed away by the hurricane.
Is it true that he also has a residence in Israel? Is
Italy.
that true? No, Israel. And Rishon, Rifon, I can't
His
remember.
he bought as soon as he became president. He bought his parents like a $3 or $5 million house in Israel.
Wow.
I'm
Okay,
sure
so no,
they'll let their boy
that's
come home anytime he wants to visit.
right. And that's the thing. That's something else we need to consider is because he has made mention about Ukraine becoming the new Israel.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they used the Nazis to do they
Well,
use the
you
Nazis
know,
just like they did in World War II.
it's a very touchy subject that I'm not afraid to touch upon.
Let's do touch on it then.
Okay.
Come on.
Here's what I'll say. Um, I'm in no way anti-Semitic.
Right.
Okay. I'm a Orthodox, Russian Orthodox Christian.
Ah, okay.
Jesus was a Jew.
Okay.
And it wasn't the Romans, it wasn't Pilate that demanded that he be crucified.
Bingo.
It was the
The Jews, the
Pharisees.
Pharisees. Yep.
So there's a difference between a Jewish person and a rich Jew oligarch billionaire that finances Nazi battalions in Ukraine, like
Right.
Zelensky, like Kolomoisky, like Akhmetov. You know, all the worst scumbags, oligarch billionaires in this country. Strangely enough, they all have Israeli passports for whatever that means, you know.
Right of
But
return. Yeah. Doesn't that mean right
and
of
you know,
return?
and
And
it's
it's you
like,
have to have.
I mean, I'm a communist, so
Uh-huh.
I'm an internationalist. I'm, you know, I'm for making the world better for all people, and I'm against all parasites, all oligarchs, you know, all billionaires. I think every billionaire on this planet should be guillotined, and I'd be happy to do the job myself on every single one of them, including Trump. You know, but I'll say
Okay.
this, you know, the there's a difference. I mean, and actually in Russian, there's two different words for good Jewish people and, you know, bad Jewish people.
Okay.
So, and I mean, so there's, you know, there's a differentiation, you know, and you know, and
Well, I
it's
call
the
it
same thing.
Zionist versus Jewish person. I have a friend. I have a
Exactly,
friend.
exactly,
She is a
exactly.
convert. She's a Jewish convert, and I love her to death. She's good people. She takes care of her community. She has small businesses, and she is helpful to everybody. She's always doing something to help, and um, I've known her since she was a girl. No problem. Okay. Good people. She's not one of those Zionists. Okay. The Zionists who think that
Mhm.
they're better than everybody else and who thinks,
That's that's the criterion right there. When
right,
somebody thinks that they're superior to everybody else,
right,
screw them.
right. Agree.
That's
Agree.
the enemy.
Right. I was not superior, not based on blood or anything. If I call myself superior, it would be in the use of logic. That's about
Well, I
it.
mean, and that doesn't say, I mean, and it's like races. I mean, the thing is, you cannot judge a person by their ethnicity or their nationality or their skin
Right.
color
Right.
or their religion or
Right.
or their eye color, you know. It's like saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, all blue-eyed people are better than brown-eyed people or
Yeah.
green-eyed."
Whatever.
Actually, I'm green-eyed, so I
Oh,
think
are
all
you?
green-eyed people
Because
are the best.
it
Yeah.
looks blue over here. It's like, yeah,
It,
it's blue
they're
eyed.
hazy. It depends on what shirt I wear. But
Uh-huh.
you know, so I mean, you know, you know, to be like a racist or nationalist or something, that's just idiocy because it's based on prejudice. And prejudice
Exactly.
means to prejudge, to
Hmm.
judge before you know all the facts. You
Which is
can't
different than
tell if
discrimination.
someone's good because they're Ukrainian or Russian,
Right.
you know, or German
Well,
or American.
actually, there is a people that I would always keep an eye on because I don't trust.
Who's that?
Turks.
Well, I mean,
Gotcha. I didn't say anything evil about them. I'm saying always keep an eye on them. Watch
Well,
what they're
I
doing.
would certainly say always keep an eye on Erdogan. I would always.
Erdogan, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, yeah, because he's actually been openly saying that he wants to become that sultanate. He wants to
Mhm.
reestablish the sultanate and become, um, um, I almost said Hurrem, not Hurrem, uh, her husband. I lost his name, Sultan. Oh, what was his name?
Are you talking about Salahuddin
No, Suleiman. I'm sorry, Suleiman.
Suleiman?
Sultan
Yeah.
Suleiman. Yeah, him. He was, you know, I remembered her name before I remembered his. That's too funny. Anyway, she was a brutal bitch. I'm telling you what. Anyway, well, actually, but they both were. But she, as a woman, she was a Hillary Clinton of her time. That kind of thing.
Hmm.
So anyway, but yeah, I say always watch what the Turks are doing because the Ottomans were pretty brutal all throughout. They were slave trading people of Russia, people of Europe, all over the place.
Yeah,
There
and
wasn't a people they didn't enslave.
I've been in Crimea and seen like the places where the Turks came and took, Slavic people prisoner to be slaves, and like they mostly took girls. And there's these places like
Redheads.
carved in stone where they used to wash before they got on the ships to go across the Black Sea to Turkey and be sold
Yep.
and not
Yep.
to do housework
Oh yeah. It's sex
or
trafficking.
to do
Let's be
housework
real.
plus, but
Yeah.
I mean, so yes, I mean, and it's like, I mean, the same history of, I mean, everybody's got something bad in their history, I mean,
Yep.
so, but at the same time, so that's what I'm saying is you can't judge anybody except by their individual
By their
action.
actions. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it goes like from what I said at the beginning about politicians, what they say means nothing, what they do says everything.
Yep. Yep. Now, here's the thing. So, American politics aside, because we don't know what the hell's going to come up next, because I don't know. It's a mixed bag of cats,
Let me
dude.
say one thing
Okay.
about American politics, like
Go ahead.
the only thing, the only hope for America is a revolution.
That's
That's the only
happening.
hope.
That before this goes out public, I'm going to tell you personally. I know that's already going to happen because first off, there's several different formats that's happening. Okay, not only in the signs that we see in American politics, but also the sentiment of the people. Because the majority, there's a lot of people too. And here's the thing: a lot of people think, "Oh, the blacks are oppressed." No, the black people are getting ready. They are preparing. You know why? Because they see what you and I see. They see the truth of the matter now, and they know damn well that NBC and CNN, they don't give a rip about them, and all these liberal politicians
They
don't
know
give a
that
rip
they
about.
got sold
The
out by
gig is
those
up. Yes.
motherfuckers that were running the Black Lives Matters that bought their
Oh yeah.
mansions in LA for 20 million. They know that
Absolutely.
they got sold out.
They know
They know
that,
they can
and
only trust
there's more.
their neighbors.
So even astrologists, the people who are got their head in the clouds, that some people say got their head in the clouds all the time. Well, the astrologists are looking and they're like, "Oh shit, there's Pluto." Okay? The astrological alignment of the stars begs that we have a revolution, not just us, because don't forget France had a revolution the same time we did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And guess
A
who
few
helped
years
bring
later,
it?
20 years later, but
No,
Thomas Paine was in both of them, one of my greatest heroes.
he's good people. Yeah, he was good people. But here's the thing: that's the commonality is what happened back then. It was Tsarina Katerina that saved a lot of Americans. She was the
Catherine the Great.
only. Yes, of course. Yeah. I like her. She went through hell to get where she was to get that power.
Yep.
She went through a lot of crap from her mother-in-law. Just Anna was a perfect MIL. Okay, mother-in-law. you she
Mm-hmm.
the perfect definition, I should say. But anyway, she was the only monarch to give respect and aid to the Americas, to the colonists. Okay,
Yep.
that's why a lot of us here in the West are like, okay, We're watching what Putin's doing. If he offers help, we'll take it. Thank you, because guess what? It is about time. First off, we've got the thing is they're trying to shut down the internet. They're trying to shut us down through the media. You know it, I know it, we all know it. The thing is when you post a truth somewhere and it gets censored and banned and things like that, um, everybody's seeing this. Now, some people, they're not talking because they're in a job where they can't, they'll lose their job if they say something. And it's so easy to do now to fire somebody because all you have to do is send an email because people are working from home. They're connecting through the internet to do
Mm-hmm.
their jobs. You're fired. That's it. You're stuck at your house and you're like, you have no income. You can't even fight back. You can't even talk back to the boss that fired you. I mean, the cancel culture has gone to new heights now, but there's a lot of people, they're growing their gardens, they're storing their monies in something valuable, whether
Mm-hmm.
it be guns, ammo, whatnot. It doesn't matter. Seeds, whatnot. People are learning about seeds. We're starting to get the information out there, especially for medical needs, because that's what we need is the herbs for medical needs later. Because food is always going to grow, like mushrooms
You
and
know my
peppers.
favorite herb for medical needs?
Let's guess. Could it be cannabis?
Could be,
Could
most
be.
certainly.
Well, that's
You
the
know,
thing.
I'm one of the guys back in the 1990s that changed the law against it. I was one of the major national players in that
Oh yeah.
reform of marijuana laws.
But in Texas?
Nationally, in
Oh, okay.
Minnesota, in
Yeah.
1990, I ran for U.S. Senator on the grassroots party ticket. It was a one platform, one issue party,
Right. Platform.
legalized weed. I don't know if you know who Jack Harrer was or Dennis Perone, Chris
That,
Conrad, all
that
the
sounds
main
familiar.
guys that changed those laws. I knew them and they knew me, and I worked with them.
Awesomeness. Thank you for your work because even
And
though I don't smoke it, I don't get entertained by it. It's nothing like that. To me, it's a good medicine and it should
yeah,
never have been illegal. It was in
exactly.
actual medicines back in the day. I mean, you could see it
hmm
as an ingredient. Cannabis,
And here's
cannabis,
here's
THC.
here's a good question
Yeah.
for all American people that is kind of related to that. And this is what I ask my American friends that, they're like, well, how come you left America? What are you against America and stuff like that? And I'll say this, I'm not against America. I'm a patriotic American. I love and support the American people. I hate and will fight to the death the fascist government that owns and controls them today. And I ask them this, I say, let me
Okay.
ask you one question, one single question. When's the last time that the U.S. federal government ever did anything that made the lives of regular American citizens better?
um, I'm not seeing it. And even
Well,
even
the
those
only
who
thing
answer
that
about the
ever
stimmies,
possibly comes up was, well, they legalized weed. And I'm like, hell yeah, they did after I fought for 10 years,
wait a
tooth
minute,
and nail,
they're the
went
ones
to
who made it
prison for five
illegal.
years for it.
Well, wait a
You
minute,
know?
they're the one. It was the government that made it illegal. So them making it legal does not mean jack diddly. It just means
Yeah,
you
yeah.
pared your
And
fingernail.
actually, it's still illegal under the federal government. It's
That's
the
right.
states that made it legal.
Exactly. Exactly. So no, to
So
answer you,
I
they
mean,
didn't do
so there's
anything.
nothing that anyone can point to and say, I sure am glad that Obama or Bush or I don't know, Johnson or Nixon, I'm sure I'm glad they did this because
Right.
man, that made our lives so much better.
Nope. I
What
can't
are
say
you
that
talking?
there's nothing that the federal government actually anything the existence of the federal government as it is now is a
A
it's a
giant blood
horror
sucking
show.
parasite.
Yeah, it's a horror
I think that's
show
the words you
compared
were looking for.
to well, that is true because there's not one thing that they did. The only thing that they do is they take away rights. There is nothing that they have done that has given rights to anybody. They have only taken away rights by
Well,
virtue of the
that's not
fact
the
that
only
they
thing they've
exist.
taken away. Why do you think Biden just made 87,000 more IRS agents? Those guys are taking away money.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's something else. Well, get me started because they were talking about. I'm going to share this with you. Hang on. I'm going to put it in your Skype. I hope you enjoy this. Hang on.
Okay.
I'm not because we're not live on. Hang on a second. Where is the
Good.
chat room? I don't think so. If we are live, I have no idea where.
And if we are, I don't care. Because whoever in the
Right?
United States doesn't like what I'm saying,
Bafandu, you know?
yeah.
Like it?
Yeah, I'm seeing it. What is it, like the Tree of Liberty or
Yes,
something?
sir, it is. Absolutely. The Tree of Liberty.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But that became I guess illegal to say or hashtag because I was hashtag that. Yes, it did. I'll tell you how. I used to have the hashtag all the time from somebody named EJ. He coined the phrase Washington wind chimes, right? So I
Uh-huh.
hashtagged it and I was like Washington wind chimes. Well, now, I don't know if you heard, but I think it was in this year or the last year, Congress made it illegal to lynch anybody. It is illegal to lynch people. Okay. That's what Washington wind chimes are about. This is
Hmm.
hanging, trees, you can hang somebody for treason. What about all these Congress critters? Because they know damn well that they're going to be hung. Okay. Especially those who are getting guilty of insider trading all this time, making billions of dollars, right? Did you know that
Yeah.
when they get caught insider trading, there's only a $200 fine? That's it. That's all it is. It's a $200 fine. They make millions, but it's just a $200 fine. That's a word.
Yeah.
That's a calculated risk. They can take that.
Sure thing, man. I mean, they spend more than that on a lunch.
Uh, Boy, don't get me started. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's go. we can we can beat the American government to death with what we have to say. I'm just more concerned about what's going on over there. I'm concerned for my fellow Earthlings over there.
Well,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, let's get back to that because I just
yeah,
want to say that right now, I mean, as a very highly esteemed and qualified political commentator said today, that the danger of nuclear conflict, global nuclear conflict today, right now, today, makes the Cuban Missile Crisis of '62 look like a kindergarten picnic. And that's really true. And this is what I want to say is that, the people of the West need to understand that Russia is not their enemy in any way,
right.
just like the people of Europe. Russia would be, the people of Europe would be absolutely secure in their food, in their energy, in their industry if the Western, if European Union's Western American masters hadn't forced the governments to break those contracts, to start, being the enemies of Russia, to start sanctioning Russia. And, so the true, the citizens of Europe and the citizens of America need to understand that their real enemies are the people that own their governments, and that they are real enemies as much as Hitler was the enemy, back in the Second World War. They are the 21st century Nazis. They are the Fourth Reich, and they should be dealt with accordingly. And you talk about the Washington wind chimes and stuff. Okay, you don't have to lynch them. Benito Mussolini, the founder of the fascist party, who said that fascism would better be called corporatism because it is the merger of state and corporate power, which
Yep.
is exactly the definition of
So
what
what's
the
in the states?
US and Europeans have now. They live under genuine fascism as defined by the leader, the founder of the fascist party. And
Sure.
Benito Mussolini wasn't lynched. He was shot and then hung upside down
Oh,
along with his mistress in front
yeah.
of a gas station. as
they,
as is fitting for all fascists.
well, here's the thing. It's like, I'm not into, okay, this is what I think should happen as far as justice is concerned. And it goes for pedophiles and war criminals. Okay. It goes to every diabolical criminal out there. I say diabolical as in violating the laws of nature, violating the laws of God, if you will. And I'm not talking about Jehovah. I'm not talking about any particular deity. I'm talking about the
Uh-huh.
center of the creator, the creation. Okay. And that is if you murder one, if you are murdering, if you are raping, if you are maiming, if you're doing these things that is against human nature altogether, all right, quick and quick and immediate death. Okay, no prolonged trials, no prolonged discussions or dragging in the street. No, just kill them quickly. Get it done. Get it done with.
That's
Don't
that's exactly
celebrate.
right, you know?
Don't celebrate the death and put your fingers in the blood. Don't, no,
Right.
that's inhumane also. That's just as bad as what they did. If you're sitting there putting your finger in the blood or taking part in the mutilation
Making
of a body.
videos.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Have
what
you
happened to
seen these
Gaddafi.
videos of what the Ukrops did to our POWs? What
I
they've done
haven't
to our
no.
civilians since
I
this
don't think
thing
I can
started?
handle it right now.
You
I've
couldn't. You could. It's beyond horrific. I mean, but here, and you know what? And I agree completely from a, spiritual Christian perspective. And it's this. Okay, so someone that's too far gone, someone that's,
a
you
rabid
know,
dog.
to the point of satanic, a rabid dog, a poisonous snake. You cannot reason with them. You can't, you know,
You can't give him
reform
any
them. You
quarter.
can't, appeal to their humanity. They've already sold their soul or debauched it to the point where it can't come back. And you know what? And it's really, you're right. The most kindest thing for everybody is to just go ahead and put them out of their misery
And our
because,
misery. Yeah.
and
Everybody's
our
misery.
misery, because
And
you're protecting all good people. And even for them, these Satanists themselves, I mean, I believe in God. I believe people have souls. And every evil deed that you do, you have to atone for, you have to pay for.
so if
So
you're
if
sitting
you
there
kill a
abusing,
20-year-old Nazi and you save him from becoming a 40-year-old Nazi and committing twice as many, crimes
well thought.
against humanity and against his own soul, you've actually done him a favor.
You know what? That's actually, wow. That's pretty intense. That's a very
I
intense
think about
statement.
this kind of stuff. I'm a
Hmm.
I'm a spiritual guy. Um, I'm a Russian Orthodox Christian. I got baptized here in 2015. But before
Congratulations.
that, I mean, I studied Zen Buddhism. I've read the Bible all the way through, every word. You know, not a dozen times, but probably 10 times. I've read the whole Quran a couple of times, all the way through.
Wow.
I've studied Zen Buddhism. I went
Hmm.
in South Dakota for a year to the Lakota Sweat Lodge 100 times, more than 100 times.
Wow.
I got adopted into the tribe. I know the language. I know the songs that they sing. I was tough when it got really, really, burning hot inside that sweat lodge in the total darkness. And then the pipe carrier would throw open, the door and the light would come in. And me and him would still be sitting like Indian style. And all the other, Indians, real Lakota blood Indians, would be like down on the ground, because, the heat comes down and it's twice as hot 1 foot up than it is from the ground.
Right.
These guys said, "Hey, this guy's tough. He's got an Indian soul, Indian spirit." So they inducted me into the Lakota tribe. They gave me an Indian name.
Awesomeness. That
So
is
I've
awesome.
studied, the
Yeah.
Zen Buddhism. I mean, I'm a spiritual guy. I've done my share of mushrooms and LSD and DMT, and
Hmm.
and I tell you
No,
something.
I don't doubt that. No, I have done mushrooms one time. I did, I can't, 5 MAOE, I don't know what the hell it's called, but something like that. I've done that too. but mostly that's the only entheogens I've ever taken. The thing is that I've always had visions. I've always had a
Hmm.
juicy pineal gland. I'm telling you what, I
Nice.
used to see the future. I used to be psychic when I was a girl. It scared grown-ups half to death. That's probably why I got my ass beat all the time because I was telling the truth. It's like, all these different things.
Mhm.
But yeah, so yeah, I still have some psychic
Cassandra.
abilities. Huh?
Cassandra.
Hey, you know exactly what, oh, man, I do have that. Oh my, or I did have that. I don't know if it's true anymore. I think I've gotten out from under that curse, the Cassandra syndrome.
Mhm.
I think I've
Of
gotten out from
course.
underneath that curse. Holy crap, because that was so true. I would tell people, I'm blue in the face, telling people, warning them, hey, be careful, do this, be careful, don't do that, and they come back later, years
And
later,
they
after
didn't believe
scarred.
you, and then
They were
they
like,
find
you
out
were
the truth.
right. You were right. Oh, I'm sorry. You were right. I was like, fuck off, because it's like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear you were right. I want you to save your life. I want to save you from the pain. And that's why, I speak truth to power. It's, yes, in this format,
It's the most
because
important job there is these days.
yes, it is. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're anticipating the future and the tech of the future. That's why we're
Mhm.
really want you over there on Element with us,
Well, my prediction for the future
Mm.
is it's going to get a lot tougher before it gets better,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
people need to understand that we're all going to die. And so,
Some
you
before
you
others.
might as well live like a hero and die like a hero and see what comes next, because I really believe something does come next, and it's based on what we do while we're here, you know.
I think similarly, not exactly, but similarly, that what we are doing here, that we came here for a mission. We chose to come here on a mission, and if we don't do it for whatever reasons, then that'll be a mark of cowardice in our afterlife, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Whereas if we go out and do what we know is inside of us, like I've always been a fighter all my
Hmm.
life. I got beaten over times too. Well, actually more than that.
Yeah, me too.
Way many more than that. I've lost fights for a long time, but guess what? That didn't stop me from fighting because
Yeah.
here's a, the funny thing is people look at you and they say, "Oh, you're so brave. You're so brave." No, I'm not. I have fear. I just don't, I attack whatever makes me afraid. You know, that's not
Yeah.
bravery. That's not bravery.
Well, I mean,
Bravery.
bravery, I mean, stupidity is to have no fear. Bravery is to have fear and go ahead and overcome it and do the job anyway. Do what you need to do anyway.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, and that's why I admire you greatly because you are truly brave. I mean, you went from the United States. You were an American, and a lot of people know that they have that exceptionalism going on, and you left the comforts of the United States to go to Ukraine and help them out. Holy crap. Holy crap, that's
Well,
amazing. That's the if there is a book written about each one of us, what would your book be like? Would it be a bestseller? Would it be an adventure novel? What kind of book would that be?
what,
Right?
you haven't read my book?
I don't have a copy of that book. No.
Okay, I'll send you one here in the next couple of minutes.
Okay.
And I'll tell
I
you
need you
something.
to give
This
me
is
your address too. I have a gift for you also.
okay.
Okay.
And I want to say that this is my comment about fear and courage.
Go ahead.
It's this: courage is the key to happiness. You know, when I came here in 2014, 54 years old, coming to not just Russia, but like the hinterlands of Russia, the tough, badass borderlands of Russia, into a war in the winter. And and when I came here, I did not expect to survive through the winter, but I came anyway because I knew it was the right thing to do. It was because of my principles. I had to do it. I would have If I'd stayed in the States, I would have been looking at a coward every morning in the mirror when I woke up. So I had to come, and it was a very, very brave act. I'm not bragging or detracting at all. It took a lot of courage to do that,
Absolutely.
to overcome the fear and to come here. And I say this, courage is the key to happiness. And so I came here, I was brave. I was very, very, very lucky. And I was also skilled as a soldier, but most importantly, I was super lucky and I survived. In the last 8 years, from 54 to 62 years old, have been the happiest years of my life. And you can just go around and take a survey, how many dudes in that age group in America these days say, are these the happiest days of your life? No, they're all sweating it. They're all freaking out. But this is it. Courage is the key to happiness because it is impossible to be happy if you are afraid.
That's true.
It is impossible. It is impossible to be happy when you are afraid. So don't be afraid. Do what you got to do. Overcome your fear. Courage is the key to happiness. And it doesn't matter if you die tomorrow. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you live like a hero and die like a hero, it doesn't matter if history remembers you. I mean, there's billions of unknown heroes in the history of this world, but they're known in the next world and they're known to themselves.
Oh.
So be brave, do what needs to be done. The people of America need to unfuck their country. They need to remove their parasites.
Yep.
And like a leech, you pull it off and you put salt on it and watch it melt away. That's what needs to happen to the parasite class in America. And, that's just what needs to happen. It's a life or death struggle, victory or death. If we don't destroy them, they will destroy us.